Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Bigfoot Club. Robert Jesse Dominguez, Ash Tucker, Stephen Robert Dominguez, Earl Kennedy. Believe in us, believe in Bigfoot Club, because we are too sweet.
This is Jennifer Reuter with Cool Gals Paranormal, and you're listening to the Bigfoot Club podcast.
Hey everybody, Bigfoot Club Season 2, Episode 26. Robert Jesse Dominguez with Ash Tucker. Ash, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm super excited today. We have a really good guest today.
Oh, yeah.
So are you? I know you're excited.
Oh, yeah. I'm always excited to be here. Every time.
Our guest today is Mike L. Hall. Mike, say hello to everybody.
Hey, everybody.
Mike, it's been a long time. It's been a long time since you and I talked, right?
Oh man, way too long.
I think the last time we talked was in Atoka.
Yeah. That was what, 2012?
Yeah, 2011, 2012. Because I was with at the time.
Yeah.
At the time, I was with Pentex with Kendall Wilkerson. We were doing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
A presentation. Yeah. So, because you were.
Yeah.
It was a charity event, was it? Was it not?
Yeah. It was a charity thing that we did there. That's some pretty cool stuff there, though.
Yeah.
If the weather hadn't
yeah,
hadn't thrown a monkey wrench on that one day, but yeah. Oh, if you remember, my good friend Daniel Faulkner was there.
Yes,
he works. Yeah, he works for Weta Workshop in New Zealand, and was part of the art department for all of the Lord of the Rings movies, and he was in the art department for James Cameron's Avatar as well.
Wow!
Yeah. He designed Natiri's bow and loincloth.
What a job!
Yeah. Well, as he described it, he spent 9 months drawing blue butts.
So. It's a living.
Yeah, I do. Didn't he have like the feet of
Oh yeah. He had one of the one of the used Hobbit feet from the movie. Yeah, he didn't say which actor it belonged to, but
yeah,
it was really freaky because we were at a Bigfoot deal, and everybody talks about Bigfoot tracks and all this and dermal ridges. It was so cool to look at this prosthetic piece of latex or whatever that stuff was. It felt like human skin. I can't think. Silicone. Yeah, silicone. Yeah. And to turn it over and look on the bottom and see that the detail in that it had dermal ridges.
Dermal ridges. Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, you could see the veins. You could see the color. I mean, like if you look it's just so realistic looking. And I thought, wow, the detail. Well, then, of course, I did a movie called Something in the Woods, which was a Bigfoot movie. And
I love that movie. I love that movie, by the way.
Thank you. It was fun to do. It was like it was unlike any other film set I'd ever been a part of, but it was just like a bunch of friends got together and said, "Hey, let's go do this."
I want to ask you really quick about that movie, and then you can go ahead and keep on continuing.
Yeah.
But did you have a lot of influence on how the Bigfoot behavior there?
Well, yeah. Well, that was kind of the thing was with David Ford was asking there was a lot of questions asked. And in pre-production, of that film, we sat and went through, oh God, I can't count how many written Bigfoot encounters, simply to look at behaviors that were described by people in those encounters. And he would make note, and then when we got to the set, and I have to, and I'm going to make a big mistake here because I can't remember the guy's name. I think it was Kevin. I'm not sure. He was one of two guys, because we had two different guys actually in the suit while we were shooting. We had one guy that was like this. There's a part of the movie where you see the Bigfoot running really fast. So we got this guy who was he was like a track athlete in his college days. He was really tall. And so we wanted him because he was really fast. And then the other guy that was in the suit the most, he only did the track guy. He only did like the one day in the suit. The rest of the time it was Kevin. And I have to say that he asked me a lot of questions, and he also asked for some suggestions of just little things. And I told him, I said, you know what? Go find some nature programs about gorillas and chimpanzees and orangutans, and just watch their movement and stuff. And he did. And especially how they would pick up things or would use their hands, stuff like that.
There was a scene, I'm sorry to interrupt you. There was a scene on there where the Bigfoot was like walking through the woods, and he was like slapping trees and yeah. I looked at that and I said, that's got to be Mike Hall all the way. I was watching it. I go, because like a couple shows before, we did a show called Longview, and we had a guy in that didn't want anybody to know who he was, and he had a really interesting story in Longview, how this Bigfoot came out and confronted him and then walked back in the woods. And as it was walking back in the woods, it was slapping trees and, just yelling while it was slapping trees. And so when I saw that scene, I go, man, that's got to be Mike Hall all the way. I know it is. So, but.
Well, we just took a lot of behaviors that were described in actual sighting events, and we just incorporated those into what the Bigfoot in the movie was going to do.
It was good. It was good. I thought it was spot on. I was impressed. I was impressed big time, and I go, this is the way a Bigfoot movie should have been done,
right?
And so.
Well, it was the thing of, we had, David and I talked about this for a long. I mean, it was really kind of funny when I say that it was the way that it happened, how that movie came together. I had met David. It's funny how this works in this industry. I was doing another movie called Devil's Deal. And originally the title was called The Merchant, and it was kind of a supernatural Western thing about this demon and all this stuff. It was crazy. And I was playing one of the bad guys in the movie, and David was one of the henchmen that worked with me as far as the characters go. And we got to hang out on set and got to be friends, and we were talking back and forth, and I was keeping up with what he was doing as an actor, and he was doing the same thing with me. And he called me one night and said, hey, I have this. He knew that I had done Bigfoot research. And so he calls me and he goes, hey, I have an idea for a script, and I want you to help me with it. And from day one, he and I pieced together a story which is basically the melding of two different, taking bigger parts and elements from two different actual events One was the Cowman of Copolis Beach, and the other one was the Ruby Creek incident. And we took elements from both of those, and we created a fictional story about this family. We didn't place it in the Northwest. We placed it in Texas, in East Texas, in the piney woods and the thickets and stuff around Caddo Lake area. As you can hear in the early opening credits, you hear the radio talk about Longview, Texas. And I seen him about Caddo Lake. All these different things to lend everybody to know that we were talking about East Texas, not the Pacific Northwest or any other location. So we took those two stories and we took the elements and then created what we had and just started with that. So basically it was like one guy going, "Hey, you want to make a movie?" "Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's go make a movie." And we had no idea of where to start. It was just basic, rudimentary, guerrilla style filmmaking, really. Of course, we had to do some things, like we had to figure out locations, we had to get cast, and we had to get crew and things like that. We had to feed everybody and get hotel rooms and all that stuff. Yeah. But it was still very much a very small group of people coming together and creating something that turned out that a lot of people really enjoyed and are still really enjoying it because it's on Amazon Prime still. So
I enjoyed it.
I think it's on Voodoo too. I'm not sure, but yeah. And so, it was like, I've been acting longer than I've been researching. But I was in the early days, it was just basically, community theater and things like that. And then that has progressed to, I started doing, voiceover work, and then I got an agent, and then I started doing, TV, extra work, doing background extra work on TV shows like Dallas and, the Gilmore Girls and, The Practice and, Chase and Lone Star, and a bunch of different, I was on Chase on like 6 different episodes, and I was on Dallas like 3 different episodes or something like that. And I just spent those days learning about the film industry. And I got, I started doing the same thing with film. I was like, I did extra work on the Alamo, and I did extra work on a movie called Anarchist Cookbook and American Outlaws, and just a bunch of different film, stuff like that. And I would just learned and picked up things and got to know people, and just progressed from there. Started doing a lot of commercial stuff, and and especially after Something in the Woods, I did another film called Loveland, and I just did a film called Caliber, and it's just progressed beyond. But when I got to do Something in the Woods, it was kind of like getting to have my cake and eat it too. I could be I could lend what I did in the research world to something that is a passion also. So it was kind of cool to get to do that.
I know. We were talking off show about how you said you were acting, and I know you mentioned just a while ago that you were acting before you did Bigfoot Research. What actually got you into acting? Where did you start at? How does one get started in acting? So
actually, you're going to love this. It's a really funny story, as a matter of fact. Not that I have any ill will towards my ex-wife, but I was actually just working. I was just, and even research was not in my immediate future as far as actually going out in the field and doing any kind of. But it was still a passing. I'd get on the internet and I would look at research sites and I would look at this and that, and look at reports, and it was just a hobby that an interest, and I kept thinking, man, one of these days I'm going to do that, Well, I came home from work one day and there was a newspaper laying on the dining room table, and it had a big red circle around this ad. And I looked at it and it said tryouts for this play for the community theater. And my ex-wife, I said, why did you do that? She goes, I am tired of hearing you watch a movie or watch a TV show and talk about how terrible that actor is, or this actor is, or whatever. Put your money where your mouth is and do a better job, and whatever. Well, she admitted much later that her fondest hope was that I would go down there, fall flat on my face, and that would be the end of it. What happened was I went to the audition and I came back with second billing.
Oops.
Sorry.
And
I'm that good.
Yeah. Yeah. And then and I really didn't realize, I really still didn't, even after she cast me, the second billing is you're just right behind the lead actor. You're the co-star basically of the production. And so I had no idea really how this was going to go. I mean, it was fine for me to get up there in front of just a few people and read lines from a book right in front of me. But, the memorization of both the blocking of the scene, having your costuming correct, and, your hair and makeup, because I actually had hair at that time. I didn't really know what to expect. And opening night, it was really one of those moments that you hear people talk about. The minute that I stepped out on stage and delivered my lines that got a laugh from the audience, and I mean a big laugh, it was like a guy going deep sea fishing. Set the hook and reel it in, because I was hooked, man. That was it. I knew right in that instant, this is what I am supposed to be doing.
Was it like a adrenaline rush, like you can't describe? Or?
Oh yeah, you can't. Yeah, it was something. It was like a tingling sensation that came over me that I just could not, in a million years, explain to anybody unless you've had it happen to you in some form. And it doesn't, I'm not necessarily saying on a stage or anything else, but if anything that you're passionate about, or the minute that you find something that this is what you're meant to be doing with your life, period. No ifs, ands, or buts about what you're supposed to be doing with your life. And that could be any walk or any profession. I mean, you talk to people that are firefighters, talk to police officers, doctors, a lot of these people, it's not just a job for them. It's a passion. It's what they've known that they were going to do their entire life. Came to it late in life.
Right.
The discovery for me didn't come at 12, 11, 15, 18, like some people. I was in my 20s, late 20s, when it happened to me.
I mean, to me, that says how good you are. I mean, to start that late and still, you take off. You take off and you start doing movies and plays and stuff like that. So it must speak volumes on you're able to, get the story, retain it, and then deliver it the way it's supposed to go out. So.
Yeah, it's a classic country song. I'm a 20-year overnight success.
I can relate.
Yeah, trust me when I say I'm nowhere near the level of that I that I want. I'm still. If Glenn Morshower heard me say this, he would probably slap me. But I'm still in common parlance known as a struggling actor. I don't have any hit movies. Nobody really knows my name outside of the few people that have seen the films that I've done. None of them of which have been theatrical released, except for the ones I was played a background person in. But that, they don't look for those people.
Yeah.
So I'm not at the level that I want, but I am striving in that direction. And my mantra right now is that, I might not reach the finish line, but I will fall headed in that direction.
Since first gig you had was like a theater play?
Yeah. I started out in theater, and the cool thing was I did that play, and then I did a musical where I had to sing.
I'm impressed.
So it's the only musical that I've ever done is Meet Me in St. Louis, which was a famous movie that Judy Garland did, Ding Ding Wing with the trolley and all that kind of stuff. And it was fun. But it turned out that the director, her name is Donna Nichols, and she's just the most, I haven't seen her or talked to her in years and years and years. Just the most wonderful lady in the world. And, her husband, Robert, they're both very extremely wealthy. He is, and so when she directed a play, she had like unlimited resources, and her family benefited a lot. I'll give you an example. Her son was so good looking. He was a Tommy Hilfiger model. Her daughter was a big financial person in New York and stuff like that. And so I did that play. Well, it just so happened that some of her son's friends that were also models for Tommy Hilfiger, and some of her daughter's friends from New York came to visit, and they were all there, and they came to the dress rehearsal the night before opening. And I had like 3 people that came to me from New York, and they were like, and this one guy, I'll never forget, he goes, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "I'm doing a play." He goes, No, what are you doing here?" And I said, I don't understand. He goes, "Man," he said, "you need to be in New York or Chicago or LA. You don't need to be in Little Bitty Rusk, Texas." And it kind of struck something in me, and I started actively trying to pursue film work. And I was a dismal failure at it for a long time. I did get selected to go to a acting and modeling, I don't know what you call it, convention. I got selected there was 1,500 people show up at the Anatole in Dallas, and they were picking 11. And I got selected to go to LA and audition in front of all these different casting directors and agencies and all this other stuff. And I had to have my own prepared material. And that led to staying in Los Angeles for a little while, and that's where I got to do like some work on Gilmore Girls and The Practice and a few other things. And then I came back for some had some family things happen, and came back and actually stepped away from acting for 5 years, 6 years. And a lady that was the director at the Tyler Civic Theater in Tyler, right next to the Rose Gardens, called me and said, "Hey, we're doing To Kill a Mockingbird, and I want you to play the prosecuting attorney, Mr. Gilmer." Which was, if you've seen the movie To Kill a Mockingbird, it is so sanitized from the book, and especially sanitized from the play. So much so that we had to put a disclaimer in the program and on all the advertising that if strong racial offensive language was upsetting to you, please don't attend. And that was rough to do, because I was actually friends with the guy playing Tom Robinson, and stand up there and call him every name in the book and everything. One night his parents were sitting right behind him, and it was a theater in the round, which means the audience surrounds the stage. Okay. Everything is, you have no place to hide in theater in the round. There's nowhere that you can turn your back to the audience.
Was this at the college in Tyler?
No.
Okay.
This is if you know where the Rose Gardens are in Tyler. The Braithwaite Theater is attached to the Rose Gardens. Yeah, it's a big, huge, beautiful, multi-million-dollar theater. It's
okay. Well,
and it's just, but I did that, and it just kind of got me back into it, and so I went from there. And Jesse, you'll like this. All at the same time I'm doing that, I was doing research.
That sounds like you.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. That's how we met. Yeah. That's how we got to know each other. Was doing research and doing.
Ash, what were you?
I was just going to say, Tyler seems to be a really good place if you want to get into stage acting to go. I have a friend that does plays here and there, and I've seen a few of them, but. That's where where my investigation team was, and we did a lot of stuff for the city. And that was one of the things was for the Liberty Theater, like to raise money for that and different restoration programs down there and stuff. So I mean, that's been a few years, but sometimes when I visit, I go and I like to go see her if I'm able to catch one of her shows, and I really like that. That's one thing that impresses me about Tyler.
If you go to the Rose Gardens, which is absolutely beautiful, if you go at the peak of the rose season, the Rose Garden, there are thousands and thousands and thousands. I can't tell you how many different varieties of roses there are out there that you can, and they have different crossbreeds and different things, and all of them have their own names. In fact, they've even created their own, and there's name them after people from the Tyler area of such, former mayors and they've got one there that's named after Earl Campbell, and things like that. Yeah. So, but if you get a chance, go visit. But that's where a lot of my theater stuff was.
Yeah, I think
was done.
That was where that theater that you mentioned. I don't know. That was near the Gardens where we went and seen. My friend, what was it? She did a gender reverse version of The Odd Couple, where it was two women. Yeah. And
instead of
it was the theater in the round like that too. It was
That'd
really
be kind of
good.
neat to watch.
Yeah, it was really good. I think it's really really neat that she started doing that.
But that's basically my journey so far in the acting world. Now, I know that your show focuses on Bigfoot.
Yeah, I mean, so, I'm expanding. I'm trying to do non-Bigfoot, non-paranormal people. I had my brother like 2 episodes ago, and he does comics, so I'm trying to expand. So I figured I could get you, acting and Bigfoot at the same time, and plus you're a good friend of mine. I hadn't talked to you in a while, so but I wanted to ask, do you recall how we met? You and I met.
The exact details? No, I honestly can't tell you. If you can tell, dude, I've had so much stuff going on, as you can tell. I can't remember what I had for breakfast most days.
It was at a Bigfoot conference. It was the TBRC, Texas Bigfoot
That
conference.
is,
I can't. It was. I think the first one at the high school.
yes.
And so
Yes, and it was in Jefferson, and it was the year that they had Tom Steenberg
yes,
come down from Canada.
yep,
And they had God, who else was it that there was a really good presentation. There were several. Meldrum, I think, was the first time Meldrum was there.
yeah. Meldrum,
Dr. Jeff.
I think Lauren Coleman was there too. I think.
Yes, yeah, Lauren Coleman was there as well, because he had the giant life-sized printout of Patty
Nice.
stuck up on the wall, so people could stand up next to it and see how big she really is, and things like that. But yeah, that was right. That was at Jefferson High School, and that was, I think, 2006.
Yeah.
7.
Yeah, it was. It was 2006.
Yeah, 2006.
Yeah, because like I had a booth then. I had a booth with Todd Partain.
That's right. You and Todd, yes. Yeah.
Todd and I were a thing back then. We were doing stuff together. We were.
You
I know.
were?
That sounds kind of bad how he said it.
Okay, yeah. I was about to say I had no idea.
Is this a new exclusive?
Well, no. Todd and I met in Longview, right?
Longview,
It was
okay.
Longview whenever I met Ash. So Luke and I were Luke. It was me, Luke, Billy Simmons, Tim Clay,
Yeah.
Robert Nix. We were doing a presentation at Longview at what was it at?
Was that Jason's Deli?
It was at Jason's
Yeah.
Deli. We were doing a presentation there about Bigfoot and about stuff like that. So it was Ash's paranormal group was there. And
You were the host.
yeah, you were the host, and Todd Partain was there too.
Okay. So,
so-
y'all could have called me because I already knew you guys
Yeah.
and whatever. No, I probably had work.
So I met Todd there, and then we met in Hanoba at the first annual Bigfoot conference there, and we just became friends then. I said, hey, you were in Longview, and so we just became friends, and so we hooked up, and we got a table there at that stop.
You hooked up and we're a thing.
Todd actually went in the field with me a few times.
Did he really?
Nice.
Yeah, he sure did. He let's see, he drove all the way to South Louisiana,
Man.
and was with me and Bruce and Bob and
Densford,
Scott,
right?
and Bob Densford, Bruce Densford, and Scott Kessler. Remember Scott?
Yeah.
And Lonnie, we were all down. So it's in Sherburne and it's just nothing but swamps
Right.
for miles. And they have these levees that you can drive through that are just for miles, and there's nobody there. But every so often, off to the side, there's like this flat area where you could actually, set up a tent, and camp. So we were way back down there, and Todd came and actually brought his kids with him. And
They're so cute.
They were so cute.
and it was, and I have some pictures from that trip actually, because it rained the entire time.
Man.
And we had we actually took, and somebody had one of these giant blue tarps, and we just took a big rope and strung it between two trees and threw that tarp over it, and we attached it to somebody's camper truck on one side, and we staked it out, and we made this big giant tent tarp thing, and we just put all of our chairs the grill and everything that we had with us underneath there. And that's where we kind of hung out, during the day. And we would go out and put our jackets and hats and stuff on and go out and put out recorders and cameras and stuff. And then at night, we would just stick around camp, and listen.
Yeah.
And since we didn't want to go out and hang out in the rain, so we would just sit there and listen and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a fun weekend. We kind of laugh about it now because we were pretty miserable, but
Todd's a good dude, man. He's a good dude.
Oh yeah. I haven't talked to Todd in years either. I don't, he just kind of, faded off the map.
Yeah. He had, a deal going on. And I won't go too much into it. It's some kind of medical deal he had where, he lost like most of his sight. So he just didn't want to go back in the woods and do any of that stuff. So, but yeah, he's a good dude, and I met up with him.
Oh, he's a great guy.
Yeah, I think for a while his DVD was one of the most viewed DVD on Amazon. So
yeah. Eyes in the Dark. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good one.
It was a good little documentary style DVD that he had. That he told all these different stories and stuff, and including mine. And then, yeah.
So whenever I met you there, you were still with the TBRC because I think you were still with him, right, at the time?
Yeah. I was still with those guys.
And so I do recall that we're set up, and you walked up to me, or I walked up to you. I don't recall, and I go, "Hey, you're Mike Hall," and you said, "Hey, you're Robert Dominguez," and we started talking.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, I had already left the TBRC, I think, at that time, and I think you had joined after I had left. So
yeah, and I won't go into all the detail of everything, but it wasn't long before I left as well, really.
And then you end up forming your own group, right? Texla, right?
Yeah, well, I didn't do that. I was just kind of out, on my own, and I wasn't really, doing anything. And Bruce Dinsford and Bob Dinsford, I was going out with Bruce every now and then, basically just on my own. And it just came up in discussion that Scott and Lonnie and Bob thought it would be a good idea just to do our own group and do things the way that we thought they should be done and not have
restrictions.
You got to do it this way. You got to do it that way. You
right.
got to, anybody can sit down and read the scientific method and understand what you have to do to be discerning in what you're looking at and what you're doing. And that applies to any field. If you're in, any kind of scientific field, if you're trying to, study something, you everything that you hear and see can't be that thing. You have to be discerning, and you have to look, and you have to use reason. And a lot of times, some of the stuff that we were being asked to do didn't make any sense, and it didn't make it,
Yep.
And especially, it was just stupid. And so, it was like you were being boxed in, or
you're like preaching to the choir. That's the reason why I left too. So.
Yeah. So they formed a group, and then I came. I wasn't sure, if I wanted to continue on. I was really just kind of disenchanted by the experience I had gone through, and they convinced me, "Oh man, come on, it's not going to be like that. We're going to do our own thing." Right. And so I started to, join the group, and for a lot of years. We were just hot and heavy, I was. Those guys still are. They go out as much as they can.
I'll say this, Mike. I know you and I know we haven't talked that much, but we've always been friends, and I know you always invited me out to the field with you all the time, and like I could never line up my schedule to do it. And I think at the time I was working for a certain security company that would not give me any days off. So
is it one that I can identify with?
Yeah,
I feel that.
You can identify with it too. But I think prior to that, like as soon as I left the TBRC, I was the same way with you. I actually I hooked up with Ken Marvel, Buddy Britt, Tim Clay, and Mike Sells, and so all of us kind of just all hooked up, and we kind of did our own thing, and we did a bunch of stuff in Lamar County. And you know, that's one of the reasons why I think I gravitated toward you so much, and I always held you in really high regard because you're such a good dude.
Thanks. Well, I appreciate that, man. I'm just a guy, man.
No, you always been a good dude to me, man. You always been really caring. You always invited me to do stuff, and if you had information you wanted to share with me, you always did it. And so I can't say enough good things about you.
Well, I it was always the thing that I never understood in the research world, especially was that people were so tight-lipped about stuff that they had found. Yeah, and it's like, why do that? We're all in the same, we all are trying to achieve the same thing here. If everybody started sharing this information, maybe we could get some answers a lot quicker. Oh yeah, and see, I'm not gonna go into any detail about any particular thing, but there was, that mindset. Really, with some people, became kind of the determining factor that I was going to stop focusing on research altogether and present 100% of my focus to my acting career, and just use, and just do the Bigfoot thing on my own time when I have time and feel like doing it. I can go do it, and I've got some good friends that I can still go do that with, and just have and make it an enjoyable weekend instead of this what I used to call trying to make an assault, a military assault on a target, which never worked anyway. It was always, come on. I mean, there's only so much camo that you can put on and so much body scent odor cover that you can spray.
To me, that would just make it where you wouldn't see anything. It seems to me if you're just like, behaving normally and you're in way,
Yeah. And that has been the Tesla motto really is, why you don't have to go out there and kill yourself to do all this crazy stuff. You get there in plenty of time with prep and planning. You know where you're going to put your recorders. You know where you're going to put your cameras. You go get those things done early, and you go back to camp, and you sit there, and you cook, and you talk, and you act like
nothing's there.
Your camp.
Right.
You act like you're campers, and you act like nothing's there. And we've had more results, especially audio-wise, doing that than anything that we ever did, acting like it was some kind of a military operation.
There's no hiding. They know.
Oh yeah, and I can give you a prime example, and this is, and you can go listen to the audio yourself. It's on the Tesla website. If you go to www.txlaresearch.com, you can listen to the audio recordings. There was a particular recording event, and here's what's significant, because it happened. There's several things that happened in a 2-day period at a particular piece of property where we had success in the past. While we were camping there, Bruce Dinsford and I decided that we were going to try a little experiment, and we were going to go there and we were going to put out recorders and cameras, but we were not going to camp out. We were going to go back to my place, which was probably half an hour drive to 45-minute drive, back to my place, stay the night, get up the next day, and then go pick everything up and find out if there's nobody out there at all, because every time we would go there and camp out, something would happen. We wanted to see if something would happen if there was nobody there. Well, the first thing that happened when we got there was that the trail to the campground, you had to go through 2 big electronic game fences. And you had to know the code to get in. And because the landowner had given us permission to be there, I had codes, and so we went in. The trail, once you got past the second gate, from the first gate to the second gate was nothing but woods. Then the second gate opened up, and the whole acreage of this place was probably 8,000 acres.
Wow.
And about 1/3 of that was not fenced because it's right on the Neches River. Mm-hmm. And it was a terrible flood plain. And literally on the trunks of the trees, as you're driving from the second gate down to the river, you can see the black mark lines on the trees where in the past the water level had gotten up to so high on the tree for so long. All the trees had these black mark lines. You could see where the water level. So we got into the trail, and we knew no one had been down there because the grass was taller on the trail than the hood of the truck we were in. So we were going really slow. We got down to the camp area, and as we were getting our backpacks out to put the cameras and recorders in, I said, I'm going to go check down by the river just to see if there's anything, And sure enough, there were tracks. They were only about 12 inches long, but there were 5-toed tracks, barefoot tracks, fresh in the mud on the bank of the river. And it was a trail of them. And if you went backwards and followed the trail, they came out of the woods down onto the riverbank. There was a little washout area where you could tell where hogs had been and rooted around and rolled in the mud. It had played or moved around in that little area and then kept following the bank north up the river. And the further north you went, the steeper the incline of the bank got, to the point where it was almost a 45-degree angle.
Wow. And
we couldn't walk it. We went up to the top of the ridge and could look down off over the river, and the bank was nearly straight down, and the tracks continued right along the edge of that north. And we couldn't get down to cast those, but the ones that were in the washout area and along the edge, we did cast those. In fact, Dr. Meldrum has both of those, 2 of those casts. And so while we were there actually mixing the hydrocal to pour in the cast, this was in July. I do believe it was in July. Everything was just full green, lush. You couldn't see 10 feet in front of you when you got past the trail.
Yeah.
It was just so thick. The river at that point was only about 30, 40 yards across, but the opposite bank was just a wall of vines and trees and shrub, and you couldn't see anything past the furthest bank. So we're sitting there stirring, and directly across from us, 3 tree knocks. And this is in the middle of the day. 3 tree knocks.
Warning, probably, right?
Right. And we stopped and looked at each other, and he said, "Did you hear that?" And I said, "Yeah." It sounded like a Louisville slugger just being bashed against this tree. I mean, really, so we said, okay, we're going to let this set up. We're going to go down the trails here, and we're going to put out our cameras and our recorders. And we did that. And we get to we have 1 recorder left, and we're headed back along a trail, headed back to the truck. And Bruce says, okay, this one, we didn't have the fancy boxes that we have now. We had the little Glad Tupperware box. and we just cut a hole in the end of it, and we stuck the digital recorder inside that. And he ran the mic cord out, and he had a Y on it, so it had a right and left channel. He said, so I'm going to put this microphone on this limb and one on this limb, and he said, if anything comes past, we can tell what direction it was going.
Smart.
So then he said there was a grouping of little trees, and they made just this perfect little fork. There was like 3 trees. And he just stuffed the box right down in the middle of these 3 trees so it wouldn't fall out, or anything like that. And we picked up our packs and we hiked back to the truck and we left. So the next day we go back. We collected the casts that we had, took a lot of pictures. Then we left, and the next day we come back and we gather up all of our recordings and cameras and stuff, and we leave. That last recorder, 20 minutes after we walked away, and this is in the middle of the daytime now, you can hear something walk up to the recorder, grab the box, pull it out from where it was wedged, and it stands there and it's turning the box, because you can hear the recorder inside the box tumbling. Boom, 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 like that. And then it just throws it down on the ground. And when it did that, it unplugged just the one channel. So the other microphone kept recording. And it walked away.
Is this called the walk-up recording?
No, this is a different one. I'd have to look and find that one.
Okay.
But you can hear, it was 20 minutes, literally 20 minutes after we walked away.
Okay.
And it walked right up to, and you couldn't, if you walked away, say 6 feet from where he had put the box, if somebody came walking down that trail, you wouldn't have seen it. You wouldn't have even known it was there. We were being observed the entire time we were there, because it waited until it heard us, because it took us about 20 minutes to get to the truck. When it heard us crank that truck and pull away, it walked over and pulled that box out and looked at and to see what it was we put there.
Stalker, man.
Yeah. So the whole idea of, you got to wear camo and you got to whisper and don't make any sounds and all that kind of stuff. It's just a bunch of bollocks, man.
Yeah.
They know you're there. Yeah, they know you're there long before you know they're there.
I feel like the more you make noise and make yourself known, and kind of curiosity would get the better of them. Or that's, what I've always heard. And whenever I went out, we did our little walk around the day before and then went back the same place the same night afterwards, just kind of like sat down and listened.
Yeah, Luke used to tell us all the time that when we're in the field and he would be facing each other talking, and he says he'll go look over my shoulder, see where you see anything. So when we used to just pretend like you're talking and just look over my shoulder, I'll look over yours, and so we used to do that all the time like that. So that's crazy.
Oh yeah, and like I said, I still get out and go. So anytime you want to go, I've got some places really close to where I live that we have actually scouted out and had some interesting things.
I might take you up on that, man.
And the cool thing of it is this particular place there's a campground there, and it's really nice. In the early days when we would go out, and you can attest to this, it was the whole thing of our mentality was we like to get to these inaccessible places. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and when you do that, that means you better carry a shovel for your bathroom.
Yeah,
and you better have a great big thing of handy wipes so that you can bathe that kind of thing. And it was always just so uncomfortable, and it could be, 98 degrees or, 32 degrees. I've done it in both, I've done it in both.
I have too. So.
And I'm not that I consider myself old, but I'm over 50 now. And I'm like, you know what? I really like my comfort.
Yeah.
Man. I really, so I've come to notice that Bruce and Bob and everybody, now it's not sleeping in your sleeping bag on the 10th floor. I got to have my cot, or my air mattress.
Yeah.
Is there any electricity where we're going to be? Is there any, is there a bathroom? Yeah.
I like your style.
So
I like your style.
Yeah. So now it's like, if we're going to go do some Bigfoot, and let's make sure there's a campground nearby that's got bathrooms and showers, and plenty of toilet paper. It's just one of those things now. It's not it's just, so, but I still go, and like I said, in fact, this last fall, Bruce Dinsford and his wife and myself and my wife, and we took my grandson, my oldest grandson, who's 10, and and another couple, and we just went down as campground, and we paid to camp, and we had our campsites all right next to each other. But this particular, I'm not going to name names on the air, but where this is, but there's a lot of trails, and it's on a big lake, and it's really close to an area that's had a lot of sightings and a lot of reports over the years. So we just kind of figured, hey, we can camp out, and we'll go out and hit some of these trails that go way back off in there and put out some recorders and see, because you're thinking this particular campground, they have like these big trash, the big trash dumpsters,
the 8 yards, the 8 yard dumpster.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And they've got and then they've got individual trash, pickup things around. And I'm thinking, and the raccoons are everywhere. Yeah. So, and they're grubbing for food. So, it just made sense. And you've got a river that's not too far away that is a known corridor. There's for years and years and years and years and years, there's been nothing but reports up and down that area, and it's just a few miles away. So, it just makes sense.
Well, I might take you up on that, man.
Actually, I can tell you there's two campgrounds that are almost identical in that respect, that they sit really close to areas that one is, I won't say exactly where, but one of them is on the Neches River. And I mean, it's really fun to be able to sit and say, well, I'm going to go take a shower, as compared to, I'm going to go wipe off.
Yeah.
so
I can appreciate that.
And we still get results. I mean, we found a track at one of the camps that I'm talking about. We actually found a track when we weren't even looking. We were actually going to go put out recorders, and it was an area where off the trail you could see where the ground had been just rutted up by the wild hogs, and we stepped over this big log, and I looked down and I said, "Hey guys, you want to take a look at this?" And Bruce come over and I said, "What does that look like to you?" He goes, "That looks like a footprint, a big one." And it was in the mud, and it looked like it had done the same thing I was just about to do, which is it had put its foot on one side of the log and stepped over the log. But when it did, its foot slid a little bit, but you could plainly count the 5 toes and everything else. And the thing that people I've never understood is that they try to discount all the different track casts and everything else, but they don't know the circumstances in which those casts were found or those tracks were found. And when you add the circumstances to that, then you have to ask yourself, like the tracks that we found on the riverbank in July. Okay, this is in an area that is locked off from any human traffic unless you are the landowner or someone that works for him. But yet it's in the middle of summer and you're barefoot running through the woods and down to the river. Well, I mean, just the snake population. I always wore knee-high snake boots when I was out there, no matter what time of year it was. The thorns on some of the vines were as big as 16-penny nails. I mean, if you stepped on one of those, you're going to the hospital. You're just going to pull it out and put your sock back on. You're going to wind up in the ER. For you to be running around barefoot out there doesn't make a lot of sense. And the same thing with the track that we just found. You know, it was in the fall. It was pretty chilly at night.
Yeah.
And everything else. Why would you be running around in this wet, muddy area in the middle of the night barefooted? I mean, you're not even anywhere near the trail, you know? So you have to look at the circumstances too. So I found that was always a big gripe of mine.
Yeah, absolutely.
People, when they try to dismiss,
footprint casts and all that stuff. Yeah.
When they just try to dismiss that, Daniel Perez, I think, said it best. I mean, if you were to try this in a court of law instead of the court of public opinion, there's enough evidence now. We would have secured a conviction years ago with the hair and the track casts and the photographic evidence, and I mean, what you can consider legitimate photographic evidence. But the Ohio Bigfoot Conference was, I think, the last.
Was that the one that Don Keating did, or Mark DeWorth?
Mark DeWorth.
Mark DeWorth. Okay.
Yeah, this was okay. So, but I'll go back to the movie side of things. We had finished filming Something in the Woods. We had not finished editing Something in the Woods. We were in post-production and got the call that they had heard about it on Facebook and this, that, and the other, and they wanted us to premiere it at the Ohio Bigfoot Conference.
Wow,
which is like one of the biggest and old. It was like 37 years or something at that point.
Yeah.
And so there were literally thousands of people there. It was crazy. It was insane. But we drove all the way up to Ohio.
That's crazy, man.
Now, and here's the funniest thing is that the guy that our editor was in the back seat on his MacBook with the external hard drive editing while we were driving up there.
Nice.
Wait, he had some time to do it.
Yeah. And it was basically, he was just trying to put on just final credits and different little things like that. We still had to go back and do color corrections, and we had to do some sound editing and things like that. So we kept telling everybody, this isn't finished. It's just as finished as we have it right now. And, what was really cool was we met all these I got to meet Bob Gimlin.
Oh man.
Nice.
I got to sit at the table and have breakfast with Bob Gimlin and have him tell me the whole story from his own mouth. Him and Roger Patterson and the Patterson-Gimlin film, the whole incident, how it came to be, and it's just so much more to the story than most people have ever really heard. That if you sat and just listened to him tell the story, the things that he says tells you that what happened was real.
I had his number for a while. I just never called him.
Well, and Bob is he's such a fascinating character too to hang around with and everything else. He actually did a promo for Something in the Woods for us.
Did he really? Oh my God.
Yeah, he did a video promo because he came down and he came and watched the movie, and then he stopped by our table the next day because we had a bunch of posters and T-shirts and stuff that people were buying, and we were sitting there signing posters like crazy. And what happened? Okay, if you've been to these big fancy hotels and they have these meeting rooms, they normally have them where they can be divided off into separate. Like you can have an A room, B room, and a C room, or you can take the divider walls down and have one giant room. Well, that's what they had. And Mark DeWorth kept telling me, he said, "Look, man, I don't know what's going to happen here." He said, "But you see that plaque on the wall there? This room capacity is only at like 400 and whatever, however many seats." And he said, "That's exactly how many chairs we have in here." So it's like, okay, so that's all, he said, "So we might have you show it a second time." I'm like, "Fine, you schedule the time this weekend and we'll show it a second time. And that's fine." And they pulled open the door. We were upstairs in the hotel trying to figure out, how is anybody going to actually, whatever. And we walked downstairs and they were already lined up. And in that hotel, it's 3 stories tall in the middle. It's like a split level. If you look at it from outside, it looks like it's 2 stories. It's split level. It's in the main part of the building. It's 3 stories, and they went down the stairs, around, and then down the stairs, the line to get in. They had people. All the chairs were full, and there were people laying and sitting Indian style in the aisle and in the front.
That's awesome.
And people standing along the back wall. And they opened up the double doors, all 3 sets of double doors, and there were people had gone and grabbed chairs from other places and pulled them to the door. They were sitting outside the doors and looking through the door and watching. And the coolest thing was that we had actually, that first year, it was David Ford, myself, Travis Driver, and several other people from the movie. And they took the suit, the actual suit from the movie.
Yeah.
And David Ford's a pretty big guy, but he's not nearly 7 foot tall. But he put the suit on, and before the lights came up, at the end of the movie and people were clapping, he came out from one side of the room in the suit and ran across in front of the screen and went out and went out another door.
That's awesome. I wish I was there to watch that. Man,
and it was so, and then as soon as it was over with, Mark was saying, "Man, we got to show it again," because there was probably 300 people that couldn't get in to see it. So the next night we showed it again, right after the next night they had scheduled Small Town Monsters. They had those guys, that was their first, they had done their first documentary, and they were showing it. And it was only like an hour long. So they showed that, and then they showed our movie again, which was crazy because half the audience that was in there for the second night were people from the first night.
Yeah, again, they want to watch it again, yeah.
Yeah, and we just kept getting these stories that, man, that was about the 3rd best Bigfoot. And my list of top 5, that's probably number 3 or number 2. And it was always coincided with a movie that we hoped and dreamed it would go with, and that was Legend of Bayou Creek.
Just so you know, we actually have a podcast. I forgot what number it was, but it's movie night, and that's one of the movies that we actually reviewed.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was that one and Letters from the Big Man.
Yeah.
So
so we had thank you. That's, and the other cool honor, other than the Bigfoot conference in Ohio, the other honor that we got was we got a call from the Falk, Arkansas, for the Boggy Creek festival.
Wow.
And they were at Falk, right across the street from Falk High School there, and out in South Arkansas, where all of that stuff happened. They asked us to come and show the movie as a double feature right behind Legend of Boggy Creek.
That is a huge honor. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And Smokey Crabtree, this is just shortly before he passed away. He came and was there and stuff like that. So it was really cool to get to be there. And Seth and those guys from Small Town Monsters happened to be there that weekend. They were filming their Boggy Creek documentary.
We just watched that the other day.
With Lyle Blackburn. So Lyle and Lyle and Sandy, his wife, were there, and so we got to hang out with those guys. And Lyle is kind of like you, man. He really got into something in the woods and really dug it. And so when we actually went up to Hanobi, I better say it right. I don't want to get mad at me. Hanobi, Oklahoma, for the Bigfoot conference there to show something in the woods. He was always asking. He would always, when we did the Q&A, Lyle would always ask me about certain lines in the movie, especially the ones about. I did steal a line from Boggy Creek. What could pick up 200-pound hogs and walk away?
Yeah, I remember that. And, I was like, that adds its authenticity because how many stories have we heard from this, that area and this area?
Well, it was just kind of my homage, my personal homage to Legend of Boggy Creek. Because that movie, it's kind of funny because it is a movie that got me started in research.
Same here.
In the first place, and yet I also have done a movie about the subject matter, and I'm continuing to do film because it all kind of, you see what I'm saying? It all kind of went full circle.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things I have to be thankful and grateful for in my career. Although I don't think I'll ever be at the level. I'll never be a Tom Cruise or something like that, but I never have expected myself to be. I've always thought of myself as a character actor anyway, not a leading man or anything like that. But playing the bad guy or playing a cop or playing something like that, I eat it up, but to tell the truth, like I said, everything came full circle because as a kid, I watched Legend of Boggy Creek, which that movie set me on that path of research and wanting to know more about that subject matter. And then who could ever have known that years later I would get the opportunity to make my own mark in the film industry end of it, as far as Bigfoot is concerned. I got to do something in the woods.
I was going to ask you, because that may trigger someone into Bigfoot research as they watch that movie.
Sure, absolutely. And that's kind of cool. That's kind of I remember being 10 years old and I had a sleepover with some buddies and we watched that movie. We begged to stay up and watch that movie and it just scared the living crap out of us. My grandparents actually, how we got woke up the next morning was their roaring laughter at 5 little boys all huddled together under one blanket with a chair propped under the door and all the window shades pulled down and every light in the room turned on. We watched Yeah, we watched the whole thing, and by the end of it, all the lights were on, the windows were pulled down, the chair was under the door. So, but from that point, I was hooked, and it's just been kind of an amazing ride with a lot of amazing friends, and including yourself, that I've made along the way, and it's all been thanks to Legend of Boggy Creek and old Biggie himself, I guess. I've made friends in this research, in doing this, that are friends for a lifetime. That's, everybody thinks your high school years, that those friends are going to be with you forever, and they're not. Unfortunately, sometimes they are, but not all of them. But it seems like the friends I made in this portion of my life are the ones that have stuck with me.
Absolutely.
So that just kind of tells you the kind of people that you deal with, but some.
I was going to ask you, because we're coming on the close of the show. What projects are you working on now?
Man, I am in the midst of probably I keep saying this, and I keep praying and hoping this is the truth. The film project I'm working on right now has nothing to do with Bigfoot. It's called The Bluesman. And The Bluesman is a retelling with a twist on the legend of Robert Johnson's meeting the devil at the crossroads, selling his soul to play the guitar.
I like it.
Our story is a little bit different, because everybody has just assumed all these years that Robert Johnson was cursed, and if you go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Ohio, one of the first displays that you see is to Robert Johnson, and they call him the grandfather of rock and roll. He only recorded 29 songs, but they have been re-recorded hundreds and hundreds of times by everybody you can think of, from Eric Clapton to Led Zeppelin just you name it, everybody. So he's become this icon, and that story has become such a part of his story. So, but it's always been assumed that he was cursed. And I said, what if he wasn't cursed? What if it was the guitar?
Right.
That's a good turn. I like that.
Yeah, and here's the thing. When Robert died at the age of 27, tragically, he was buried with his guitar. But now, the devil wants it back. He can't go into a graveyard because that's sacred ground, that's holy ground, so he has to make another deal with these two lowlifes to go get the guitar for him. And he doesn't figure they're smart enough to figure out who Robert Johnson is, but they do. And they decide, you know what? I think we'll just hang on to this guitar and make a little bit more money for ourselves. Well, of course, you know how that worked out when the devil comes down to
hell to pay.
Collect what his, and then basically all hell ensues. That's kind of the premise of it. There's a lot more to the story than that. What's really cool about it is we've already recorded several songs in the studio for the soundtrack. Katie Lynn, I don't know if anybody knows who Katie Lynn is, but she was a finalist on America's Got Talent in 2016 from Kemp, Texas, which is right next to my hometown, and we've gotten to be friends. I've been knowing her since she was 10 or 12 years old, singing local stuff. Now she's almost fully grown, and she's traveling back and forth to Nashville and doing recordings, and got albums that she's fixing to do and all this other stuff. So she's written a song for the film, and she's going to be making her film debut in the movie. We have secured actor John Dugan, and his claim to fame is that he played Grandpa Sawyer in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So he's already secured for the part, and we're working on getting another name actor. I'm not going to say that yet because we just started negotiations with them. But this film that I'm working on could be the one that really boosts my career, I hope, because I'm playing one of the main bad guys. And we're going to be filming it here right here where I live. I live in Ennis, Texas. We're going to film it right here. All the locations we need. We've secured a lot of stuff for this film already. And, it's listed you can actually, if people want to go and check it out, they can go to the website. It's called, it's www.thebluesmanmovie.com, or they can find us on Facebook.
On Facebook, yeah. I was going to say, after the show, whenever I post the show, I'll put all your links on there that you want. That way people can find it and stuff. So,
so that's the movie that we're working on right now. We're in pre-production, I guess I could say. Actually, we're in the middle of location scouting, and we start our casting process for the other parts this next week.
Okay.
So yeah, we're hopeful that we can be in production, actually shooting this film by late October and have it wrapped before Thanksgiving, and be in post-production through the holidays and have it released sometime next summer.
Nice.
Hopefully. That's all if everything goes the way we hope it does. But in this industry and in the times that we're facing right now, everything is still always
up in the
air.
Up in the air. Yeah. Right now, and the cool thing, and I know people are going to think this is weird, but this whole COVID, the quarantine and all that stuff, it actually worked in our favor because it forced us to sit down and do the rewrites and do all the paperwork part of pre-production.
Right.
That normally gets left until the last minute. And we were able to get all of that done during that downtime that everybody was facing, and really jumped ahead. And with the state of things going on with entertainment business in Hollywood, everything is shut down. Nobody's filming anything. And so there's going to be a big void to fill next year. And if we can, and the sooner we can get this shot and edited, we'll be one of the few films that can fill that void. And that only bodes well for us and for our careers. So, every dark cloud has a silver lining, they say. So,
right.
At least that's the way I'm choosing to look at this.
Yeah.
Because if you choose to look at it and the way that most of the other people in the world are looking at it right now, I'd go crazy and be so despondent that I couldn't get out of bed. So, but just trying to keep a positive spin on everything. We've had so many great things happen for this production. It's a very exciting time, but like I said, when you first called, man, I'm going in 20 different directions. Yeah. And, I don't know. I have actually had this conversation with my wife several times in the past month. What day of the week is this?
Yeah, because you told me early in the week you got to remind me whenever the show is.
Yeah, because I was late coming in because I spent the day talking to our special effects guy and our cinematographer and stuff, and it's just been, it's really crazy how the industry works and how the hoops you have to jump through to get things accomplished. And it gets to be a little bit of a circus. And so, to take a break and talk about something else and talk about and reconnect with an old friend is kind of a breath of fresh air, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you coming on. I was going to say that when you're ready to, talk more about the movie and, whenever you get everything done, you're more than welcome to come back and pitch it, man. I would love to have you back on.
Oh yeah, great. I would just be more than happy to come on and talk about it. If there's anything that, I was just going to say, I need you, if nothing else, man, if we get to the shooting schedule, I want to invite you to come down and hang out on the set one day.
I would love it. Yeah. I would love it.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Okay. Well,
I hope that it happens so that you get to do that.
Yes.
Let me put it that way.
Absolutely. I would love it. it's a dream of mine, and we'll talk off show about it. So
yeah, man. Yeah,
but, I got your number.
You're both invited. I want to make sure you say that.
Oh, yeah.
Ash. Yeah, y'all are both invited.
Man, no, like I'm a really big Robert Johnson fan. Just like because I love music and anything, and I'm a nerd for music history, and I watched documentaries about him. And legend aside, just like the way that he played guitar, it's fascinating.
Well,
it's just like the way his hands moved, and
I will suggest something that now we've got like on the website there are some videos, and you should watch. There's a guy on there named Aaron Burton.
Okay.
And he is actually the video that's on the website of him singing one of the songs. That's actually one of the songs that we're going to use in the soundtrack. It's going to be re-recorded, but but just to hear him play the way he plays is very reminiscent of Robert Johnson. So, we've got some really cool stuff. Like I said, just go check out the website and check out the videos and all the information on there. And there's a lot of links. We have memorabilia on there, not memorabilia, but we have what they call swag. We have T-shirts and tank tops and coffee cups and with all the movie logo and stuff on it.
Okay.
Just a lot of fun information on the website.
I love merch. That's what I've been doing here lately with I have a lot of friends that are musicians or content creators, and it's like, I'm buying T-shirts and records, and because it's really lean right now. You can't really.
I keep telling people, buy a T-shirt and send us a picture. We'll put it on the Facebook page.
It's walking around advertising.
So at this point, we're like I said, they're talking to a name actor, and I will say, when I say a name actor, it is a name that everybody will know.
Well, good deal.
Yeah, and our fingers are crossed. There's no when you start dealing with actors at that level, there's no guarantee that they'll even see the script. We have to go through channels and everything else. So, they have people that read scripts for them and suggest, hey, you might want to look at this. Yeah. That kind of thing. So we've got to go through their management and through their process before we can even get I'm interested. Then the process really begins of, how many days are we talking about? How much of this is, is it going to be, how much money are we talking? So, there's still a process to go through, and we may not get another name actor before we get to the point of filming. But you hear those stories all the time. I mean, Carl Weathers didn't walk into audition for Apollo Creed until the weekend before they were supposed to start filming, I think. And he was the last guy to come in the room.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And he was like, and the great insult was that he was reading with Stallone, and then looked at Joe Alberson, the director, and said, I could do this a lot better if I had somebody better to read with.
And that's probably why they cast him.
Yeah. It was, it was one of those things. So it was, so you never know. And we've got our fingers crossed that we can land this guy and have him come in and do some work and really help the project get some recognition once we're done. And so it's one of those things where I feel like I'm on the cusp of something great, but I'm so scared to death. I don't know what to do. And it's one of those seminal moments, I think, in a person's life, and I'm in the midst of it.
I'm excited for you, man.
And you're capturing it all on your podcast.
I'm real excited for you, man. I feel this is it, and so I want to help you. And so doing this podcast helps you. I'm real excited. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, man. And I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed talking about stuff, and I haven't talked about research in a long time. So it's still part of my life. It's not all consuming like it used to be, because I've just reprioritized things, and I've got an opportunity. I just felt like the
the time was right for me to step away from all of that and go in this direction and put all my focus and energy into doing what I needed to do to make this career work. That was always going to be just a hobby. This is something that could, help my family, in a more immediate way.
Absolutely, man.
So I had to change my priority and look at what I was, working 9 to 5 and doing having fun doing that stuff, but was I really happy? And, when I quit doing all the 9 to 5 stuff and started focusing completely on this and that, and I can't say that that's easy for anybody to do, because you got to have a great support family, behind you. And if I didn't have my wife, Dulcie, behind me and supporting my, decision to do this full time and pursue it full time, it would be impossible. So I'm fortunate. Like I said, I've got a lot of things to be thankful and fortunate about. So, I'm blessed in a lot of ways, and I'm blessed to have good friends like you. So,
well, Mike,
thanks again.
No problem, man. Thanks for coming on. You, like I said before, you're more than welcome to come back and pitch the movie. And
it's been a pleasure. I love it. Love talking with you too, Ash.
Looking forward to everything else, we were just I was just talking earlier. It's like I'm ready to go out, and I don't care if it's just to go sit in the woods and not do anything, just to do it, just get out.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that feel the same way right now. Just get out and do something.
Alrighty, Mike.
All right, buddy.
Hey everybody, Robert Jesse Dominguez. We're at the section where we talk wrestling with Earl the Pearl. Earl, how are you?
I am doing great. How are you?
Man, I'm good. I'm excited to talk wrestling with you again. This is going to be this is actually a pretty good week. We're going to actually review July 24th's SmackDown, because we didn't do it last week. So let's jump on this one.
I'm ready.
What I normally make you go first, but I'm going to go first this time.
I'm ready. Let's do it. You're the host.
What I was really excited about was Grand Metalik actually getting pushed for the Intercontinental title. I was pretty happy about that. I don't know about you, because I've always loved him wherever he was wrestled, like in Mexico, and I thought, I go, oh my God, they're actually going to push him. So I was pretty happy. I don't know about you.
No, I was happy about that. When I was watching it, I was kind of like NXT last week. I was like, okay, then it's not going to be anyone from Lucha. So I was watching it, and then it caught me off guard. And that's what I like, is whenever, here's the thing, WWE has a bad thing of, yes, you're doing this often, but then they don't let that person win. So it catches me off guard. When you get caught off guard, you're like, oh. So, yeah, I was really excited whenever he won. I was like, oh, my God, he actually won this thing.
Yeah.
So I thought it was really cool. And I like that they didn't, immediately get beat up afterwards. Like, they actually looked strong, because both of them, Grand Metalik and Lindsay Dorado, actually, they did get attacked, but they didn't get squashed. They actually, fought back, and they actually had the upper hand. So I was like, oh, I like what they're doing. This is nice.
Yeah, I like that. I don't know about you, but I loved the Jeff Hardy's Sheamus fight in the bar. I kind of thought I wasn't going to like it, but actually I did like it. So I don't know about you.
So my question is this him bringing Willow to the WWE? Because he had the black and white face paint. Remember when he was in TNA and he did the whole I'm sorry tour because of the debacle of Sting versus him strung out. Sting no sold and just put all the body weight on him and didn't let him kick. When I watched that match way back in the day, I felt Jeff Hardy, because when I really got into wrestling way back in the day, I was trying to do wrestling with my cousins, and I was like, all right, hold out my shoulders, I'm going to kick out. And then my cousin Brad would put all his weight on. I'm like, no, you're supposed to let me kick off. So I felt Jeff Hardy whenever Steve did it. Yeah, I felt that. But no, he did that, and he came back with the white and black face paint, and he had the white contact lenses, and I was like, it was funny because I forgot I was watching with my kids, and I was like, oh, that's Willow. My daughter's like, no, Daddy, that's Willow. I'm like, you don't know Willow. Be quiet. Well, and then he came back, so, but I don't know, man. I mean, if it is, that's cool, because I like the Willow character. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I think the Willow thing, I think it's like the face paint's a little bit different, but I think this to me, it looked like Brother Nero. That's what it looked like to me, but I mean, I don't think he's giving this a name or this persona a name. He's just doing it. Okay. But I don't know.
It could be a mixture. Yeah. It could be a hybrid. It could be a mellow.
Yeah. I don't know.
Or a Wero.
What are you doing? I'm just kidding.
I don't know what's happening. I'm confused.
I'm confused.
But I like it though. I did, because he did that and then he ended up winning it, and I thought it was really good. I liked that they didn't just let Sheamus squash him.
Yeah, I think it's good. They're taking turns winning. Sheamus won at the pay-per-view, and he won this one. So I think and
that was Sheamus's bag.
Yeah,
he was like, this is my thing.
Yeah. I'm really digging this vibe with both of them. At first, I know we talked about it before. We didn't, because we thought it was kind of, and you both of us agreed that we didn't like the angle they were doing with the alcohol and all that stuff. I said, come on, man, but I kind of like this where they're going, and it's getting better. So I think
moving in the right direction.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and jump on Raw real quick. What stood out for me on this one?
So there was all those reports of how they were going to write Kairi Sane out.
Yeah.
And because there was reports that everything was going to go this way, and then they scrapped it, and then they were going to have her injured by Nia Jax, and that was scrapped, and I was very happy about that, because
she probably would have hurt her for real. She probably would have hurt her for real.
Oh my Lord. So I was very happy with the way they did it. That it fed into a storyline. Like, they were going to have her hurt, and then Asuka was going to go back, and it was the same way it played out. But like you said last week, Sasha was going to win the title. Yeah. So I like how they wrote that. They scrapped like 4 plans and went with this one, and it was really good. I liked it. I thought again, it's cruddy what they're doing, where they're destroying the women's division for 2 girls, because it's like no one else is getting a push. Like at this point, anyone, if you talk about it, then it's like, well, I'm like, no, I'm gonna shut you down, because even Charlotte didn't get to destroy. Not destroy, that's a harsh term, but Charlotte didn't even get pushed like this. I'm like, it is about that point. Like what are you gonna do at this point? Because if you do go with the Sasha Bailey thing, I mean, what is it going to be? Is it going to be one person holding all the belts? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know where you go, because I listen to what is that? I listen to Wrestle Talk. I don't know if you ever listen to them. They're from England.
No, I haven't.
Ollie and Luke. They have a YouTube channel. They have a podcast, and they're really good. I like listening to them. They're pretty informative. They're pretty knowledgeable. I mean, they're really good. They're still fans, but they make really great points. But they said a long time ago, when Bailey first turned heel, what's the purpose of making a face a heel? You're going to have them to, when they go back to a face, it has a bigger impact. But she's been a heel for so long that, I mean, even if you make her a face again, I mean, you can do the whole, I did this because you were my best friend. I was never, in my book, in my deck, I was never your friend. I just used you to get where I was supposed to be, like she could go back to being entitled, and then you could have the main roster Bailey Sasha match like NXT had. That was wonderful. But I mean, I don't know at this point, like, what are you going to do? Are you going to do that, or are you just going to have them randomly lose them to... Because that's the thing I hate the most, is like WWE did back in the mid-2000s, where they were just playing hot potato with the belt. Mm-hmm. So I like that they let them keep it this long, but then, I mean, if you're going to go a different direction, you can't just let them keep it, because at that point you destroy the entire women's division, because now no one else gets to hold the gold.
Yeah, but
I don't know what you do with it.
I think right now they're it's a runaway train. They don't know what to do because like they're so hot right now. Both of them are on. They're so over. Both of them right now is that like they're going well as a heel, and then what do you do with like Nia Jackson and Shayna Baszler? I mean they're both heels too, so they're making them fight each other right now, and it's like, to me, I said, do we not have enough women on the roster to do stuff? I mean, because
Nia Jackson's injured 80% of them.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
But here's the thing, though. Like, here's the thing. I love Nia Jax. I've always liked Nia Jax.
Yeah.
I don't like the way she wrestles. But man, if you're going to injure someone, like either of them could legitimately injure someone. Like I love Shayna Baszler's arm stomp.
Yeah.
You have to do that just right. Because if you were to mess up that move, you could really mess someone's shoulder, elbow, everything up. So, I mean, but Shayna can take a good bump, you know what I'm saying? Because she was a cage fighter, you know? She's used to getting punched. She's used to getting slammed on the ground, you know what I'm saying, like hard. So this is a really good one, you know what I'm saying? Because if you injure her, and like it was kind of like, what was it? When Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman had their little program that they had, and Braun Strowman punched Brock.
For real,
and for a minute he forgot where he was. He went to actually punch Braun, and then he had to forget. He had to remember where he was.
Yeah.
It was really awkward. But I bet if Nia were to do something and hurt her, because she almost hurt her on Monday Night Raw when she did the little throw into the plexiglass thing. Like Shayna Baszler was over by the steps, and like she fell really weird. And I was like, oh my God, you just started this little program and you already almost injured Shayna Baszler. So I think it's going to be good because they can both go strong style and just hurt each other.
What I really like about this right now, we're talking about Raw, and we haven't talked about any man. We're just talking about women right now. And I think that's kind of cool. So
that is, you know, but that's the problem though. Is they don't really focus on the women's division. I mean, it's a Bailey Banks show, but there's other women on the roster, and that's what they aren't showcasing, and that's what I think is, you know, they give Zelina Vega 100% room, like the Zelina Vega show for the longest time. But like I said, she's not really a wrestler right now. So.
Let's go over to Impact.
Okay.
I know you said you watched that one, right? What was your takes? What was your takes on that one?
Oh man. So we always talked about it. I like the Moose EC3 thing.
Yeah.
It's really, I even text you about it. I like that Keith Slater, Miller, whatever, pulled the wool over Moose's eyes. And he's like, I got this contract from the TNA Championship Committee. There's no such thing as, so that's not really a real. And he had to eat crow. And then the face guy, what is his name? The guy that has the face authority?
DeVore. DeVore.
He's like, hey kid, I like how you condom. You got to be. Now the only thing is like, it feels a little WWE-ish. It's like, if you can win this. You remember whenever he never got drafted and he had to go to SmackDown and change, like, well, if you can find a partner and win, then you can have a contract. So that was kind of, but they're doing that too because they have Talk Shop Mania. Like they showed a preview for it, and it's just fashion WWE, something fierce, which is okay. That's how you get the ratings. You make fun of the company. You know what I'm saying? Look at AEW. AEW did little jabs too, but this Talk Shop Mania that they're going to have on site looks like it's just all balls out. I'm going to make fun of WWE. But I like it though because Heath Miller pulled it over on Moose, and Moose is supposed to be this intellectual big champion guy. Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was really good. That and the Good Brothers. Those are the two things that stuck out.
Yeah, I think I like that the storyline that they're doing with Heath. I think it's. I think they're taking advantage of the opportunity that he did at WWE and is doing kind of almost the same stuff, but it's a different take on it because he's there now and he's trying to make an impact on Impact. So So I kind of like
true.
it, and I have to agree with you too. I like the Good Brothers, and I think they're gonna get those guys over big time, man.
But I didn't even know who Reno Scum was.
They
But
were
I like Reno Scum now.
they were an Impact like maybe a year ago.
Okay.
And the little guy, I can't think of the little guy's name. I think his Luster is his name. I think no, Adam Thornstowe. He had a shoulder injury, and he never he didn't recover from that. So that the other guy, Lester, the big guy with the mohawk, he's not a good. I think, in my opinion, he wasn't a good singles guy. So
yeah,
they kind of put him put him in the back burner, and so they finally came back.
Gotcha.
So it was kind of odd because they had a lot of momentum whenever they first came in, and that guy got hurt. So anyway.
Yeah, but I like it. They spilled out in the parking lot, and I'm like, okay, this is Impact Attitude-ish era. I like it.
Yeah,
I like what they're doing. I really do. I like the Good Brothers gimmick. And here's the thing. Ever since I've watched NJPW, the first episode made me fall in love with Nakamura. But then I saw Machine Gun Carl Anderson, and then I started watching other matches with him in it because he had a match with Shinsuke, and it was really, really good. Like, that's the one thing I didn't like about WWE. Like, they didn't let Machine Gun Carl Anderson or Carl Anderson, whatever you call him, they never let him really wrestle. Like, he is a amazing wrestler. He's a great worker.
Yeah.
He's got phenomenal skills. And then, like, on the Good Brothers match versus Reno Scum, like, they actually, like, let him wrestle. And I was like, that's what I've missed, because he's so good. And Big Luke Gallows is a great wrestler when you let him actually wrestle.
yeah.
So that's what I like the most. I'm like, just use them properly. Let them wrestle. Let them do what they're supposed. Let them do their talent that they have. Let them do their craft, because they're amazing. Like, all their matches they had when they were in a Bullet Club, it was just top notch.
What did you think about Wrestle House?
So I was upset when I thought it was Legends House.
Yeah,
I was very upset about that. But I like that it's the whole thing of Rosemary wants to get what is Valkyrie's assistant guy's name?
Johnny Bravo.
Johnny Bravo. I like the whole thing is Rosemary wants to be with Johnny Bravo. Johnny Bravo wants to lose his virginity because he's a virgin. Extra virgin olive oil. And then Taya Valkyrie is there, and Rosemary is mad. She brought all these people in, and I like it when you let Tommy Dreamer be a comedian. And I love Crazy Steve. I don't know if we never talked about that. He was one of the first wrestlers I've ever got a retweet from, because when he first came out, I think I told you about that, when he first came out on the tricycle and the balloon, I thought it was great because he did a wrestling match with the balloon. I thought it was great. And I posted about it on Twitter, and I got Crazy Steve liked your tweet. I was like, oh! And it was like, Crazy Steve follows you. I was like, oh my God, Crazy Steve! So I like that he wanted to lay in the ring as his bed, and
Yeah.
A.J. Romero was like, no. And the whole wrestling fight, he's like, we can share. Look,
It's like it's a huge ring. They could both sleep there.
I thought it was great, and then you let Kylie Ray be the ref,
Yeah.
and then as soon as you did that, you have Tyler Valkyrie like, you didn't really try hard enough. You suck. I had a unconscious bias, like, oh crap, it's gonna be Legends House.
Yeah.
And that also made me laugh. And I thought it was great. And I was like, oh, okay.
I actually thought it was a show, and I go, oh, okay, it's
Yeah.
It's just a gimmick. They're just doing that because I would probably watch it if it was really a show. So
Yeah, it made me laugh. I was like, okay. Because if it makes me laugh, I'm all about it. And I thought it was great because I love Crazy Steve. He's just like, can I just have a corner? Look, I'll lay on top of the rope. I won't even lay on her wing. So I thought it was funny.
Let's move over to AEW. What were your takes on this one?
Jericho. Amazing. Like he's so smart, but he doesn't know about a dry cleaner. Like his jacket's more orange and it smells like cat pee.
Kids like cat pee. And they keep telling him, because why did you say that for? You mean lie to him?
Yeah. So at the Stadium Stampede, he was the one that he always oversays, and I love it. I just love it whenever he at the very end just yelled at him for no reason. And it made me laugh. Like, you're so extra. But I like that because I've been reading the reports that Matt Hardy's like, I came back with a broken gimmick.
Yeah.
But that's a crowd thing. And I knew there were supposed to be crowds here, but now I'm going to be Matt Hardy. Yeah. So I like that as soon as I like the second week that Sammy Guevara's back, he's already, again, I like the difference between, and I say it all the time, and I'll keep saying it, the difference between AEW and WWE is AEW's storyline stops.
Yeah.
They still go back to it. WWE will just kill a storyline out of nowhere and make it feel like it never happened. Like the biggest one to date is, we work for you. You're the fans. We're going to do better. Well, but then it was like 2 weeks later, it was already again, and it's like it never happened. But like you had Sammy Guevara go away, Matt Hardy went away. And Guevara comes back, Matt Hardy's immediately back, and that storyline has never stopped. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That's what I like.
The little pay attention to like details and stuff was really, really good about
and
that.
And that's what you need to have in wrestling. Because like I said, I followed a Facebook page called something Heels of Wrestling, and I was watching it, and they were talking. I was reading one, and it was one whenever Vince McMahon started trying to do the global dominance when he treated his dad out of the company, and you had Jerry Lawler versus, oh my God, I think it was Nick Bockwinkel. I'm drawing a blank now, but anyways, he went down to Memphis. He was in the AWA. He went down to Memphis for 2 years and had a program with Jerry Lawler. But that's what you need in wrestling. It's like you don't. If you're going to be a casual fan where you're just going to be on autopilot where, I can miss a year and come back and I don't really need to pay attention because all the storylines are the same, I've fallen into that. Like when I stopped watching wrestling for like 6 years, I came back to it. I was like, 1 week, I'm caught up. Everything's the same. Cool. But if you're really going to watch wrestling, you have to be vested. You have to be there because if you sleep on it and you come back a month later, the storylines are changing. You miss something, and now you missed out. And that's true wrestling. You know what I'm saying? Like during the territory days, that you had to pay attention because if you didn't, you were lost. Well, why is this person fighting this person? Well, I don't understand what's going on. So that's what I like about AEW. Like they don't, just because somebody got put on suspension for 30 days doesn't mean, their storyline's no good. No, you keep that storyline because you started it, and you need to. Even if you go somewhere and it doesn't really pan out, then you kill it. That's fine. But just because someone goes away for 30 days, you don't just kill a storyline. You hold on to it and you come back. Yeah.
I did like Matt Cardona's preview. So
I liked it. Yes.
But what kind of bugged me a little bit, and maybe I'm making a big deal out of it, is that he kind of outshone Warhorse because he had a great match with Cody, but I get it, they only got one show, so they got to do this stuff, and I thought, I don't know, I kind of go what, but I liked it.
Yeah, Warhorse's match was amazing. 4,000 pounds of heavy metal. Yeah. It made me laugh when I heard that. I was like, oh, that's really good.
He rocks ass too.
Yeah, he in the middle. He doesn't. He could have won so many times, but he taunted his heavy metal, and I thought it was great. I got bugged by Brody Lee, and not because of Brody Lee, but I don't know. Like I was watching him, and I think it's his beard is bushy. Now, here's the thing. I'm a man with a beard. I just got my beard cut, and my face looks totally different.
Yeah.
When your beard grows, you have a beard. When your beard starts to get too bushy, your face looks fat. When he was talking, like his cheeks made his face look really weird, and I was trying to determine had he gained like weight all over from like quarantine, or is his beard just really bushy and needs to trim it? And it really. Like my OCD-ness came out, and I'm like watching. I'm like, no, that's his beard. So I had to rewind it. Like twice to hear what he was saying, because I'm like, I focused in on. I'm like, okay, what's going on? Because it just made him look really weird. It made him look cartoonish, like a gopher, and it was bugging me. And again, nothing to do with anything, but I just could not get past it. And I'm like, I just said, okay, it's his beard's bushy. It made his face look weird, and then I rewound it and I listened. But yeah, no, he did. He outshone him. He outshone the Warhorse match just a little bit. But he's friends with Cody, so I think maybe that's why that happened.
He looked
not taking away from Warhorse, because Warhorse was a great match.
Yeah, he looked Matt Cardona.
Jacked.
He looked jacked, didn't he?
Oh my God, he didn't look anything like Zack Ryder. He wasn't skinny. He looked like he went to the Monster Factory.
He sure looked like he was doing the Rough Rider pretty good, though.
Oh, he did. He did, but he looked like he hit the... Because, when Sheamus was off for just a little bit...
Oh, was he really? Okay.
When he first came out, and he fought John Cena, and what was it? Who was in his corner? Oh, Roddy Piper was in his corner, and he fought John Cena for a little bit, and then he was off show for like 5-6 months, and he came back and he was all jacked, and he went to the Monster Factory.
Yeah.
That make you jack like a freak. But yeah, he was super big. I was like, oh my God. He just, the one thing I really liked about it was I like FTR hit Brody Lee with the cooler of beer.
Yeah.
They took him out.
Second week in a row they did that gimmick. So.
Oh, it's so good. It was kind of like whenever Lance Archer first came out and killed what's-his-face with the kick. I was like, who's in red? He killed that poor man in red. It was like that. It was a cooler beer. And it's not even a good cooler either. It's like the one you buy from Walmart. It's like $1.50. You just break it, and they just keep running. I'm like, oh. It's those little things that make me laugh that I really like about it. It's like the little details. It's It's like they took him out with a cooler of beer, and they're still running to the ring. Like, they didn't even stop. They just threw it at him.
Who carries an ice cooler to go defend somebody?
Yeah. It's so good.
But I am really excited about this AEW Women's World Championship. The tag tournament.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually real excited about that, and because normally I don't really talk really highly of the AEW women roster right now, and but I'm excited about it because they have a chance to showcase. So,
and I think I'm most excited about it because they're using a lot of free agents. Like, I don't like Cameron. I didn't like her in WWE. I don't know what her real name is. Like Nyla Rose drew purple, and then she's like, no one else drew purple. And now she's teamed up with Cameron. And you could tell neither of them really wanted to be teamed up with her. Like Vicky and Nyla both looked like they did not want her as their partner. But they have to use the free talent, the free agency wrestlers. So I'm excited. What I'm most excited about is who am I going to see? Because there's a lot of great female wrestlers out there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could see
Tessa Blanchard.
Yeah, Tessa could be there because she's a free agent. You know what I'm saying?
If they get her, they will be big time because she is big time.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I'm saying. A lot of the women in this thing I was reading up on it because it is interesting the concept that they had, and they do have women on their roster, but they said that they talked about like they are going to use not a lot, but they're going to use quite a few free agency female wrestlers from around the globe.
Yeah,
is what they said. I mean, around the globe could mean 2 promotions 3 states down.
Last week they had I know you know her. What's her name? Evilise was there last week. And
oh my God, it was Dina Monte.
Yeah.
Oh, Evilise. I liked her. Here's the thing, but she was on Tough Enough. I liked her.
Yeah.
She was not a great wrestler. And then Stone Cold had that talk with her because she put in the work. Like, she was doing those private wrestling sessions with him, and he was like, look, you're not gonna make it to the WWE, but he had that heart to heart with her, and he was very nice, and he's like, you need to become better at your craft. You're not afraid of work. Go to one of the promotions where you can shine and then work your way up. So then she went away, and then she went over to Mexico and was in Lucha Underground. I was very excited to see her there.
She was good there. She was good there.
Yeah. Oh my God, baddest bitch in the building. And then she was on. I saw her. She was going to fight Dina Monte. I don't even know who Dina Monte is, but I saw you.
She was on Impact. She was with LAX for the longest time.
I never watched Impact during LAX. The only reason I make that one joke about the kid getting run over by the car is because it made front media news, and I watched it, and it was so cheesy.
She was with LAX when Conan was there, and they had Hernandez, and they had Homicide, because I remember they attacked they attacked Rosemary, Crazy Steve, and Abyss whenever they had the tag title. They were called Decay. So she was with them. Yeah. She would attack Rosemary, and the rest of them would attack Abyss and Crazy Steve. But
that's fun. I like Decay. But yeah, no, I was, and then I saw Brian Pillman Jr. He was actually in the crowd. I texted you about that. I was super happy about that. So they have a lot of good stuff. Like I like that they drop hints. They plant, like I said, planting seeds. Yeah. And that's what I like about it, because it's not like WWE will do a promo package for like 3 years, and then the person they bring in may not make it. But like they do the subtle plants. Like you'll see someone in the, like Vicky Guerrero. They never made a big deal out of her, but they would pan the thing and they've seen her. Like Tony Schiavone before he became the announcer. He was at the first big pay-per-view they had, because we were like, oh my God, is that Tony Schiavone? So I texted Lisa, she texted JR, and JR was like, maybe, but it was very vague. And then Tony Schiavone was there. I was like, oh my God, that is Tony Schiavone. So I like the way they do it. Like they're very subtle.
Let's jump over to NXT.
Okay.
Because I know I didn't watch it, and you didn't watch it either, right?
No, but I did not. I didn't get a chance to.
But I am excited about. I didn't get to watch. I mean, I probably watch it after we like talk and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm excited that Keith Lee called out Killer Kross.
Now I saw. It was recorded yesterday. I didn't get a chance to watch it. I'm probably going to watch it tomorrow while I'm doing laundry. But I had, the kids were going to bed, so I had turned off I turned off one of the shows. We were watching Monday Night Raw last night, and it was whenever Keith Lee was doing it was, from what I saw, very emotional. Like he had a lot of emotion in his face and his words, but I heard him say, "Carry Cross." I was like, oh, but I couldn't watch it because the kids were in the room. But yeah, I did read that segment was very well received. He did a very good job at it.
And I really want to watch Dexter Lumis, Timothy Thatcher, and Finn Balor for the triple threat match for the North American title.
Yes.
I want to watch that one, because that Dexter's like, he's becoming one of my favorite wrestlers now.
I loved him so much. I didn't like him at first.
Yeah.
We've even talked about it.
Yep.
But the 1,000,000-yard stare. So good.
Yeah. So.
Well, I don't think he does on his knees. Like, he glides on his knee pads. Like, I feel like it's that they took the shoes. Remember my son, my oldest son, when he was a teenager, he would have them. He'd walk and he'd get on his heels and the wheels would come out. He would skate. He would rollerblade around the store. I feel like he has those built into his knee pads because it's so smooth and so seamless.
Yeah, the thing about him is that what I like about him so much is that he's selling out on this character big time, and it shows.
It does, and like even whenever he gets hurt, like he has like he'll get hurt, but then like you'll see a moment of pain, but then it goes back to like no emotion.
Yeah. I
really like what he's doing with this character. Like there's so many layers to this character. Like you thought, okay, he's a really creepy guy. And then out of nowhere, he's helping the Velveteen Dream. And then he hones in on Roddy Strong. And then he hones in on the Undisputed Era. And it's like, I don't even need them to build up a robbery. Like, why is he fighting Timothy Thatcher? Why is he fighting the other guy? I have no idea. But his character, it doesn't matter. It's like, boom. And I can see maybe a little bit because Timothy Thatcher is all about the pain. And no one's really been able to make Dexter Lumis show like he's been hurt. So maybe that's an angle to go for. It's just really weird. But I'm super excited. I don't think Dexter Lumis is going to win. But I really want to see if he wins. I hope he does.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I'm actually looking forward to actually watching that because I didn't get a chance to. So, and then we can like briefly discuss it like next week if we talk. So, but I think that's gonna do it for us, man.
Okay,
sounds good. We're like 45 seconds in.
Woo, man!
Yeah, have a good one.
All right, talk to you later.
All right, bye.
Bye, bye.
I must bid you adieu, and so, goodbye. Mwah. And good night, Bigfoot!